we're gonna have a really, really good time. Talking about things that make us laugh and make us feel alive. Red noses and silly hats, big old cars on wild tracks. Let's just talk about clowns and coasters.
Let's talk about things that make us laugh and make us feel alive. I'm Kyle Anderson.
I'm Alex Prather.
And we're going to talk about clowns and coasters.
That's nice.
That's my PA voice.
That's a good voice.
I forgot the guy's name, but the guy who's been doing OU, University of Oklahoma football and basketball games, greatest PA announcer of all time. Doesn't get all the credit. He goes like way low. Then it's good. I don't know. Just fun.
All right. Cool. I support it.
Your face is like, all right, that's how you're going to start this?
Look, you can start it however you want to start it. I support you.
I don't know.
I'm just here.
Well, I mean, like the pre-record, everything just exploded. My cat puked on the freaking rug. It was bad. Everything just exploded.
My computer might go out during recording, so who knows?
I just found out my subscription for Adobe Premiere and all that is gone, right when I turn it on. So, whoo! But we're here.
We are back.
We're live.
We are here.
All right,
Breathe.
Man. Welcome back. Episode 5. We're 5 episodes in. This is cool.
Very cool. Very exciting.
Let's talk about some fun things we've been doing, Alex.
Let us talk about it.
Okay, I just got it. In the Google Doc, you have 2 of the greatest word combination here.
Yeah.
Please explain.
So I've been watching. So I know we talk about games now is our new thing to do at the beginning.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, so the game I've been watching is combat juggling. Which
combat.
Have you never heard of combat juggling?
No, I have not. This sounds
really? Oh,
please,
it's
just
right up
tell
your
me
alley.
everything about. Yeah.
So it can be done either 1v1 or in 2 teams, and that gets really crazy. But it's basically the one I like to watch is just 1v1, and 2 people juggle clubs, and the goal is to knock the other people's clubs out of their hand and continue juggling.
Yes.
And it is so satisfying to watch.
I could do this with balls. I would be out with clubs instantly. But that sounds amazing. Have you done this?
No, absolutely not. Well, because it pretty much has to be clubs because the goal is to bat at someone else's club and then continue your juggling pattern.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So it's harder to do, I think, with balls. But my goal is
it's not. You're grabbing and swinging a club.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to knock.
That makes more sense.
And they their arms will get all caught up in each other, but they have to because you have to continue juggling. Because if you don't get your point.
Okay.
So you can't just throw your club and knock theirs away and get a point because you have to continue juggling.
Wow.
And it is, if you have some time, I will send you a video of this juggler that I like. I think his name is Josh something. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. Josh juggles. I'll send you the video.
Josh juggles.
But he talks about at the last IGA event, which is the International Juggling Association. They had a little
I love that.
contest for the people there, and it's cool.
How aggressive does this get?
Aggressive.
And you
full contact juggling.
So you sent me a video of you juggling with clubs.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I'm getting there.
That was amazing. That was very impressive. So you're ahead of the game, and I think I got the best I've ever juggled with clubs. You saw me.
Yeah,
it was maybe 3 tosses. So I'm not up to that level to do combat juggling.
My long-term goal though is for you and me to do combat juggling. For both of us to get good enough not to compete, but to get good enough that we can just do it for fun when we're just
Yeah, I feel like I could get there.
I think so. I think I
give
could
me a
get there
month or
too.
So. Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause, I
I'm
mean,
giving
you
us
could
a
just,
few
like-
months. I'm giving us like a year.
Okay,
Like
that's
in a
fine.
year, I want to come back and be like,
Well,
let's
I gotta
go.
be able to do like a just is it called a cascade, just like a regular cascade, or I'm
Yeah.
sorry, a 3?
It would be
I
a
have
3.
forgotten all of this. So.
Yeah, it would be a 3, and it still applies to club juggling.
I haven't forgotten all of it because odd numbers mean something.
Odd numbers cross hands.
Cross hands and
Even numbers
all-
stay in the same hand.
but the higher the number, the higher the toss is.
Yeah.
Oh, good for me. So this would be a high. No, I'm not even gonna do that.
Nope.
I'm sorry. Is it dark? I'm dark. It's dark. In here.
You are
You
right.
can't even see that. All right. Well, that's awesome. Combat juggling.
So yeah. Anyway, that's what I've been watching and wanting to do lately.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
it's real cool.
I could see myself
Yeah.
too into that.
Oh no, absolutely. When I saw it, I was like, "This is 100% a Kyle thing," because it's like juggling, which is like a nerdy thing to do,
This is like a weird.
and then turned into like an aggressive
Turned into a
competition
sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I'm gonna send you. I'm gonna send you a video, and you're gonna. Yeah.
Oh, cool, man.
What you got?
Just, I mean, if we're going on, just like, what's the fun things we've been doing? I've been going down some video game rabbit holes.
Nice.
So I finished Zelda Link's Awakening, the remake,
Yes.
of the, and apparently it's a very, for the vast majority of the game, it's an incredibly faithful adaptation.
Nice.
So as I was going through this, I'm like, okay, if this is like a, early 90s Game Boy game that's just been graphically updated, I'm like, okay, I think I could get into this. So I wanted to play. I've heard really good things about A Link Between Worlds,
Yeah.
which is a 3DS game that is basically a sequel / remake. It's weird how it fits into the timeline, but sequel / remake of A Link to the Past,
Okay.
which is the first Super Nintendo
Yeah.
Zelda game.
It was
Which
the
you
first
played that
Zelda.
one.
It was the first Zelda game that I ever played. I love it. Yeah.
You loved it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so before I play A Link Between Worlds, I'm like, I gotta at least try A Link to the Past, which is on the Switch's Super Nintendo thing. And I did like the first dungeon, and I think I'm gonna keep going.
Yeah, it's a
very
good-
similar.
It's
yeah.
a good game.
Yeah, I was expecting a little more of that. You have to have the manual or a guide
Yeah.
or something. Like Zelda 1 is like, for me, at this point, I'm not even gonna go there. It's
Right.
like you have to have a manual. You have to have. Like,
Well, and that's one of the things people liked about Breath of the Wild is that it went back to that, like, you just have to find it. Like,
yeah,
you just have to
figure
go
it
and
out.
figure out
But
where
it did
you're
it
going.
in a way that was more evolved with the times, I think. Because
Sure.
I've tried Zelda 1, but I mean, I don't know. It just hasn't aged well for me.
Yeah. And I would say A Link to the Past has a lot of, like, you don't have to necessarily go in order all the time. There are orders that are easier, obviously, but, like, it has some,
But
like, these are the 3 things you have to do.
Yeah, it points
Do
you in the
them.
right direction very
Yeah.
well.
No, it
Which
does.
even with Link's Awakening, the Game Boy remake,
Uh-huh.
even then it had some, like, you get done with a big dungeon, and usually an owl flaps down and is like, hey, here's a vague clue as to what to do next. But sometimes he doesn't.
Right.
And so I'm like, how on earth would I have any idea what to do next? So yes, I did have to have like some hand-holdy guide Googling with that. And
Sure.
I probably will with Link to the Past. But I'm kind of playing it in tandem with, I'll go back and forth. I'll do Link to the Past, the old Super Nintendo, original graphics. Okay, here's what makes that so great is that the Switch has that save state feature
Sure.
and also that rewind feature, which I don't want to use, but is so tempting
Yeah.
when I'm getting when I'm getting my ass kicked in a dungeon, just to go back like 20 seconds and just like, oh, avoid that person or whatever. So
Yeah, that sounds
I
right.
might do that game with like an asterisk, like maybe cheated a little bit, but I don't care. I'm
I
enjoying
mean, yeah,
it.
if you're just going
That's the
through, it's
important.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
funny.
on that video game front, you jotted down a little note.
I did, and I don't really have anything to say about it other than that the obvious E3 got canceled.
E3 got canceled, man.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna get to that a little later on my week's work, but like, ooh, it's like they're canceling. Like they're gonna have
Closing
sporting events.
everything.
The college basketball is gonna have like no fans. In March Madness. What?
Yeah. Coronavirus is. It's a thing.
What do we do?
I don't know.
It's a thing. It's a big thing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Ugh.
So moving on from the sadness of that.
Yeah. You want to do questions?
Let's do some questions.
I got a question for you.
All right.
Okay.
Shoot.
What interests you personally most in a roller coaster? Like height, complexity, speed, type, track. Like, what is the thing when you're like, it's a new roller coaster, why I want that one? Why?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah, it is. I researched. I had to look up. I was like, what's a coaster thing I can even ask? And that's what I was like, yeah.
No.
That's the one.
We're learning a lot from each other.
We are.
I look for airtime. I look for
Airtime.
big, crazy, or even small little hills. A lot of hills, a lot of hills. Because if a roller coaster's shooting up and then coming back down, it's going to have some airtime. That's a big thing with me. Now, there are newer rides. I'll just say negative G-force. That's what I like. I like that butterflies in my stomach kind of thing. You have been on Titan.
I have.
And Titan is one of the craziest positive G-force roller coasters I've ever been on. And it's not even... I mean, it's kind of tame by like some of the newer coaster standards. Wow, how did you go on that?
I didn't well.
2 helices. A helix.
Okay.
Where it's just... Yeah.
Meaning what?
A helix is basically just the track banks inward and spirals either up or down.
Okay.
So it's got 2 of those, one spiraling up into the dumbest brake run of all time that pretty much halts you to a stop. But if it didn't, the second helix would kill you. Like, it is very, very positive G-forces on that ride. I don't love that. I love that. I like that for a little bit. But if I'm like graying out hard on a helix, which I do on that, it's not that fun for me.
Sure.
So yeah, negative G-force. That's what I look for. Which is why I think Steel Vengeance is on the top of my list. It's the most airtime of any ride. I think they clocked it at like, I don't know how they time this, but it's supposed to have 30 seconds plus of either 0 or negative G's, which is awesome. So yeah, that's what I look for.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah. So, Alex, what is a misconception that you had about clowning that has changed in your mind, if any? Or did you always have the most healthy, positive outlook on accurate outlook?
No, I would say
You talked about coulrophobia.
I do talk about coulrophobia a lot. I've always had a problem with that as just being a popular thing to do. But my personal, because we both come from more of an acting background. We both have acted and stuff. And when I first started talking about being a clown and like going to clown school, I would have people. It wasn't even necessarily a misconception. It was just a weird judgment of like. So I told someone I was going to clown school, and they were like, "But you mean like commedia, right? You're not talking about like clowns." Where it's like, so commedia, so clowning long
I haven't heard
term.
that word since high school.
Yeah,
Commedia
long term
dell'arte.
commedia dell'arte. Clowns come from that pretty much, and so like there's a. It's not a misconception. It's just a judgment of that like circus clowning isn't as much art as other arts.
Okay.
And I
was that a misconception from you?
I think
you-
there was a period of my life where I bought into it. Because,
Oh,
like,
okay.
I used to, like, when I was younger, I thought clowns were amazing, and I liked, I liked TV movie clowns, so, like, Jerry Lewis, Dick Van Dyke.
Okay.
Old vaudeville involves a lot of clowning. Harpo Marx kind of stuff. Charlie Chaplin is a clown.
Where do you think the Stooges fall into this category? The Three Stooges?
Yeah, they definitely can.
The fact that you didn't just say yes right away is already intriguing to me. Because I would have thought, but that's just me without really even thinking.
Sure. I mean,
Maybe that's my own misconceptions.
no, I would say that they do. It depends on what kind of clown you're defining. Because again, like the Charlie Chaplin kind of clown doesn't feel like the same thing as like the Bozo clown.
Okay.
To sort of foreshadow what we're going to talk about today. So I think a lot of like my misconception about clown is thinking that Bozo the clown was the only kind of thing that there was. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So you
Which
just
isn't
broaden your
necessarily
horizons.
bad. It's just like that is a type. So yeah, I broadened my misconception is that clown was something that was easy to define. And the more I've studied it, the more I've realized that it is a tremendously complex thing.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's founded in a very simple idea of play, but it's more complicated than I ever really thought it was.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
Ooh, I like
that's
that.
what I would say.
I like when horizons are broadened.
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, you did foreshadow Bozo the Clown.
My
Tell
thing,
us about
my something to
Bozo.
share this week is all about Bozo the Clown.
I am curious because I
Tell me what you know about Bozo the Clown.
Well, I don't know much about Bozo the Clown, but I did work. I did up until last year, late last year. I worked at WGN,
Yeah,
the news station in Chicago, also vast, nationwide channel. And they, I guess that's where he originated, like on TV, I think. Maybe? I don't know. But they're very, very, very proud of Bozo the Clown there. They got freaking murals of Bozo the Clown. Literally, the shared network drive in the building is called Bozo.
that's hilarious. That's really funny.
They really like them some Bozo there. That's all I know about Bozo.
Yeah.
He's the name of the network drive at WGN.
The name of the network drive at WGN is Bozo. That's good. That's a big deal. So, and I don't know everything. A lot of my research is like Wikipedia based. So like take it with a grain of salt.
All right.
But not a lot of people, I assume, going onto the Bozo the Clown Wikipedia page to spread lies. Like, someone was like, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to spread lies about WGN's involvement in Bozo the Clown. Like,
it's going to be, he was originated in, like, Kentucky or something. That'll show him.
that'll show them. Yeah. So, first of all, it was created by Alan Livingston and portrayed by Pinto Colvig.
Cool.
And it was originally an illustrative read-along book and record storytelling album.
What?
In 1946.
Would not have guessed that.
Would not have guessed that.
Okay, hold on. Say that again, because I need to...
It was originally created, the character Bozo the Clown was originally created for a children's storytelling record album and illustrative read-along book set.
In the 40s.
In 1946.
Huh.
Okay?
That is a form of media that no longer exists.
Yes. And is odd because they invented a clown for an album book reading. Like
Things that make no sense
things
anymore.
that are not exactly a thing anymore. So that's in the late 40s and really mid 40s.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how he started.
Okay.
Then the first time he was on television was 1949.
Okay.
And I don't it was still portrayed by Colvig. I don't remember exactly what station it really started on. And that becomes important because it's going to come back to your WGN thing.
All right.
So Larry Harmon bought the creative rights in 1956.
Wait, Larry.
Larry Harmon is just a guy who would portray Bozo occasionally.
Okay, I'm trying to remember if any of these names sound familiar. I know they're like WGN, very proud of Bozo,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
I never had like a tour.
They never
where
gave you
someone
the
was
tour
like-
where they're like, let's tell you about Bozo.
Because there's a whole like case shrine to him.
Yeah.
But,
So, and I can explain that a little bit.
Okay, all right.
Just a pinch. So, Larry Harmon
'cause
bought the creative rights, and they basically franchised the character of Bozo the Clown.
Okay.
So,
This is-
local television stations could produce their own Bozo shows on local TV. Okay?
Okay.
So then we roll around to 1965, and Harmon bought out all of the business partners so that he could control who could do Bozo.
He had a monopoly.
A monopoly on Bozo. So there were two different big-time Bozo shows. Bozo's Big Top in 1966, and they would
Okay.
sell that to local stations that weren't producing their own show. And then they had Bozo's Circus, which started in Chicago in 1960,
All right.
and
here
then
we go.
went national in 1978. So they were like
Okay.
the Bozo that their Bozo went national.
When nationally everyone knows. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's probably the one.
So that's probably the one that's why they're so like it was the biggest Bozo show. It was called Bozo's Circus,
Okay.
and that's
And what?
that's the one you know. That's the one
That is
you
the
worked
one
at.
I know.
Yeah,
Was it popular? Like what? Like
I think it didn't end until 2001.
stop.
Yeah. No, what I mean, it went through like shrinkenings through the 90s, and then I saw a thing like on Wikipedia that was like they officially ended production in 2001, and I was like, I beg your pardon.
I. What?
Yeah, I don't know if that's correct. I mean, and that could just be locally they ended. Like
Maybe,
nationally, Bozo ended way before that, but then
I wonder if
locally they
like-
stopped doing Bozo shows in 2001. I don't really know.
I wonder if WGN just like had it going in Chicago. That is
I don't really know.
crazy.
But
I
yeah,
don't-
it definitely.
I don't remember any of that.
Oh, absolutely not.
I'm only like peripherally aware of Bozo. I don't never
yeah.
remember seeing like shows or like you just know that he exists.
You just know Bozo was a thing, and you just go,
Yeah.
yeah, Bozo the Clown. There's a whole Seinfeld about.
Yeah, he's the Houdini of clowns.
Yeah, no, 100%. He was like, do you know any illusionists? Oh, you mean like Houdini?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Look at Bozo
There's a
over
bunch.
here.
Look at Bozo.
Freaking
Yeah.
Houdini over here. Yeah.
There's
it's the same
there's
thing.
a whole Seinfeld where George is talking to a clown, and he's like, Bozo the Clown. He's like, I don't know him. He's like, you don't know Bozo, the most famous? You're one of him. He's like, you owe your career to this guy.
Yeah.
And he didn't know him. So, but yeah,
True.
that's
He is like the clown, but I still don't.
yeah. He's like, yeah. It's this interesting, and I kind of started talking about like I kind of wanted to do Bozo because of our talk last week of like, are there cultural differences
Okay.
of clowning, and like a major shift in the North American / American like United States
Yeah.
clowning is kind of because of Bozo.
There's post Bozo
It's
era.
yeah,
clowns.
Bozo really affected, and I'm gonna get into the history of that just a little bit. I won't do too
The
much.
Council of Bozo met in
The Council of
1960.
Bozo, which met in about right before 1978, before Chicago went national with him.
It was like in Studio 2 of WGN.
Yeah.
There's a gathering of clowns. This is the Council of Bozo.
So, and this is also sort of odd. He also had an animated show, comic books, and then just records of just bozo-ness.
What was his shtick? What did he do?
I don't remember. And I don't know.
For being a famous clown, no one knows anything about Bozo. It's so weird.
Well, and it's hard to say what his shtick would be if there were, and I can, based on what I counted. Okay, so there were six like national / really famous Bozo the Clowns. 6 different people played him: Pinto Colvig, Larry Harmon, Willard Scott, Frank Averitt, Bob Bell, and then Joey DeOria.
One of them died recently, right?
A couple of them did.
They're
getting old there. You get about that time. But there were local Bozo shows in Texas, Maryland, Alabama, Massachusetts, New York, Brazil, Ohio, Colorado, Michigan, Indiana.
I guess not Oklahoma City. So
no, there wasn't one in Oklahoma City. Mexico City.
Wow.
Supposedly there were some in Greece and a lot in Brazil. He was popular in Brazil.
Huh.
Ontario.
Wow.
Supposedly, there were a couple of other countries. They're not on my list. So I don't have a comprehensive list of people who played Bozo the Clown. And I count that at least 81 people have played Bozo.
Whoa.
At least. At the minimum, 81 people have played this guy. So there's not really any way for him to have a consistent shtick, right?
I guess that's true. And also,
because they would all, especially depending on culture, which even culture across the United States, because New York is not the same thing as Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have a general sense of humor, but there's, regional differences. And then you go to Brazil or Greece, they have different comedic sensibilities. So there's no way to know what Bozo did.
So is Bozo, is that like a trademark thing? Is it like public domain? What is it?
I don't know what it's at this point.
Could you be a Bozo? Could you carry on the Bozosity into the Bozarium?
Possibly. I don't know. Legally, because it literally was a franchise. So Larry Harmon bought the rights, so you had to franchise from his business a Bozo. You could do it, and then he bought them out so that he was the only one who could okay Bozos.
Monopoly on Bozos.
He had a monopoly on Bozos. So...
Well, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
I had no idea Bozo was that ubiquitous, but I guess he'd have to be, because again, he is the Houdini.
He's the Houdini of clowns, which is
Bozo over here.
Which also reminds me of Tim Minchin has a thing where he's talking about being a pianist because he's amazing. And he's got a beat poem called no, not Storm. Not Storm. It's the Storm. Other one.
Storm's
the Mitsubishi Colt.
Oh.
And this drunk guy at the bar compares him to Elton John, and he gets and Tim Minchin punches him because Elton John is great, but Tim Minchin is a pianist. You know what I mean? He trained to be a fantastic pianist, and that's what he does. And Elton John focuses on the pop music-y parts, and he's a good pianist, but it's right. I feel like that's what it is. Clowns, really good clowns are don't compare me to Bozo.
So he's the all right.
You know what I mean? He's great. Yeah. We're grateful for Bozo. We like Bozo, but I don't do what Bozo does.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
I guess he popularized, but that
he definitely popularized. So, one more quick thing that I wanted to kind of lead into with all of that talk, because I thought that was all just interesting from the get-go. Cool. So, Bozo is based on, it's called the August. It's the red clown. Okay? So there's different kinds of clowns. There's red clowns, white clowns. And the red clown is called the August. Okay, this goes back to like Commedia dell'arte.
Okay.
And this goes back
You
to...
might have to go a little more.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So...
Give me the cliff notes on this.
Okay, so... The history of clown...
Yeah.
So the...
No, sorry. I mean, it's all right.
No, I got you. I'm gonna give you a quick what's up. So there's different kinds of clowns.
White clowns.
Right.
Clowns with star belly clowns.
So we've talked about this. There's Augusts, there's buffoons or bouffons, there's harlequins, there's pierrots, and all of these come from different kind of clown theater, right?
Okay.
The earliest one is the Zani from the Commedia dell'arte, which kind of grew into English pantomimes. Okay?
All right.
So, for that, and for like the Harlequinade, which was like the clown's thing in the pantomimes, there's really two kinds of clowns, but I think there's a third type occasionally.
A rogue clown.
Let's see if I can find that picture.
We'll call him Jeff the Rogue Clown.
Yeah, it's definitely a Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, he's the third one.
Yeah. Okay, so there's...
The third clown. Sorry.
Yeah. So there was originally two kinds of clowns, the August and the white clown and the red clown, basically. The red clown was the August.
Okay.
And so
Do you know why?
Well, yes. Originally, the white clown was the funny clown, and the red clown was the one who got the pie in the face, the one that got tripped, the one that...
Aww.
So an earlier, they wouldn't even really call him a clown, because he was just getting things done to him. He wasn't actually, doing any of the stuff.
All right.
And then over time, that started to shift. The third type was the Contra August, who kind of mediated between those two characters.
That's a cool word.
Yeah. So,
so where's Jeff come in?
So then,
Jeff, keep throwing
good. You gotta find Jeff.
Jeff the third clown.
So anyway, the August was specifically always exaggerated colors, big things, all this stuff, right?
Cool.
Exaggerated characters, bold colors, all that jazz.
Not dissimilar to Bozo?
Not dissimilar to Bozo. So, Bozo is based on the August. Okay?
Okay.
Which, again, was usually a foil to the white clown, so he would get all the stuff done to him. But Bozo was kind of... and this had been happening generally, but Bozo was alone. He didn't have a foil. He was the funny one. So this was a very big shift in how Americans viewed the specific kind of clown. Right.
Okay, so once you take away the clown that gets dunked on and put that clown into its own thing.
Its own solo thing.
So that's okay. That's a paradigm shift.
That's a shift. That's a paradigm shift. So, and I this all is going to come full circle in a second.
All right.
So
I just made you do a lot of half-ass internet research, so.
You're good. And it's stuff I kind of knew. I just looked it up to make sure I was getting it right.
No, I get it, yeah.
So Bozo also inspired Ronald McDonald.
Yeah.
Fun fact. That's kind of obvious, but yeah.
Yeah.
So, because of the Bozo template, because of Bozo being this colorful clown who existed kind of on his own,
yes,
that pretty much directly into the 60s and 70s led to the creation of the birthday clown.
Yeah, I can see
the solo
all this.
clown, yeah.
I can see all of this.
It also led to the creation of clown care or hospital clowning because clowns started being associated with children.
Okay.
So,
Innocence.
almost directly, innocence. I even wrote down and bolded in the word innocence. Almost directly because of Bozo. Which, have you seen a picture of Bozo in a while?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, yeah, WGN. You saw him.
Every day.
Because of Bozo, almost directly by the 80s. No, not by the 80s, but by the 90s-ish. It led to the creation of the evil clown.
Oh.
because specifically like Bozo, and if you look at pictures of Bozo and then next to like Pennywise, it's the hair. It's the hair specifically.
It's definitely the hair. It's got that weird. You know, I mean,
it's bright red. It sticks out,
and it flings out to the side.
Yeah,
like at a point, right? To like a weird point.
Yeah,
but like a foot out.
Yeah, Bozo's definitely came out way past his head, and so Pennywise's is a little smaller, but it's still that same concept.
Yeah,
and because Bozo became this like solo figure, it led to the birthday clown, and birthday clowns are much scarier because like a clown amongst other clowns on a stage, that's not scary. That's just art. That's theater. But when you can isolate the clown, it starts to be a symbol of innocence, which starts to become very easy to become scared of.
Yeah, it's probably really easy to flip that. To invert that narrative. So now we have a mission. We now have a mission for once time travel is invented.
Yeah.
We go back, and we don't invest in Apple or Amazon. We don't become rich. It's too easy. It's too boring. We make it so where Bozo derives from the August.
The August clown, yeah.
What was the other one?
It had different names, but it was called. It usually called the White Clown or the Clown Blanc in French.
Okay, let's make Bozo a dual act. Let's put the white and the red clown. Then we get clown duos.
Instead of solos.
Then Alex and Kyle are born.
Yes.
And that's a popular, lucrative profession that we can... It
becomes popular again to be,
to be the clowns only come in pairs.
What the vaudeville would call a double act.
Yeah. Yeah, it revitalizes that.
Yes.
But like in clown terms. So that's where Alex and Kyle improv could have been...
successful.
Alex and Clownix and... nope. All right.
Nope, good try. It was a good try. So anyway, that's your history lesson on Bozo the Clown.
That's amazing. I had no idea Bozo was like that significant.
It's significant. Yeah.
It's incredibly significant.
So again, if I had any misconceptions about clowns, it was that I misunderstood the importance of Bozo.
Wow.
So... and specifically in North American / United States clowning. But
yeah.
All right. That's me.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Alex. For that. I don't have any crazy cool origin stories like that. I mean, I could probably think of some, but I guess I'll stick to my topic because it's also fun because I have a personal story, an anecdote, if you will.
Which is better than me just spewing facts about random names of people who played a clown that people don't really care about in 2020.
I liked it. So I'm going to talk about some trends in the amusement park industry. Two in particular. One of which I don't like, and I wish it never started. The other, let's see more of this. We'll start with the one that I wish had just... If I could go back in time, I would make sure this just doesn't happen because I don't like them. Stand-up roller coasters. Yeah, your
sorry?
Your face says it all right now. You like, did you just stand up roller coasters? This is not people telling jokes on roller coasters.
What's the deal with
well, it's trimless brakes, so you can, like.
I couldn't think of a good roller coaster thing.
Staples. I don't know. Why do we all go to? Thank you, Jerry Seinfeld, for making me go to. Anytime
Absolutely.
I'm like a stereotypical floundering comedian.
Yeah.
He's not floundering. He's very good, but.
It's true.
Stand-up roller coasters are types of roller coasters that the restraint system is, and the trains are built in such a way that you're literally physically standing up. You're standing, your feet are down on a platform, your legs are straight. And on the ones I've been on, and the more popular ones, if there is such a thing, there was at one time, you sit, in quotation marks, sit. You have kind of a thick bulky bicycle seat kind of thing that will adjust. The height will adjust based on how long your legs are. So, and you have an over-the-shoulder restraint. So you're sitting on like a bicycle seat that can adjust based on where you are, based on how tall you are, and an over-the-shoulder restraint that is usually a thick foam-like substance that's not super duper soft. So you're gonna be banging your ears, and it's probably gonna be uncomfortable. Over-the-shoulder restraints suck. I don't like them. They all need to go away. Fortunately, if they do exist, they're much more comfortable now. But when these rides were popularized, they had thick ear smashing over the shoulder restraints. These rides, I'm gonna be generous because there is at least one that I'm gonna tell a story about here in a second that is considered to be the best among these generally, and it's Riddler's Revenge. It's called Riddler's Revenge at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which I've talked about a lot. It's a big roller coaster built by Bollinger and Mabillard. Again, don't know if I'm saying that right. Still to this day, don't know if I'm saying that right. We'll call them B&M. You've seen a B&M ride. They build. If you've ever been on Batman the Ride, well, to the general
public, it's like you've seen one. I'm like, I don't know if I've seen one.
No, you don't know. Generally, if there's a ride called Batman the Ride, with like one or two exceptions, it's gonna be a B&M inverted ride. They've got the big, thick, square, boxy spine to the ride, so the track has got the two rails, and in between it's got the spine. And they're very well known, very distinguished. It's like iconic, the big, giant, boxy, square spine. Very thick, big tracks. Batman the Ride at Six Flags Over Texas. I mean, any inverted ride where the track's above you, not anyone, but most of those are B&M rides. Very, 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 very good, well-known manufacturer. Now, they did their stand-up rides in the 90s, but they were before that. Now, I haven't been on any of these, but a company called Togo would build, and I was shocked when I looked this up. It was like in the late 70s. So there have been stand-up roller coasters since the late 70s, but they were built by Togo. I've not been on one of these, and Togo has a better reputation in Asia, but they've had very few roller coasters built in North America, and I think only have one still standing. And I think that's they have one still standing. It's the New York roller coaster in Las Vegas, which I have not heard good things about. So they don't have a good reputation in the States. There was a Togo stand-up at King's Dominion in Doswell, Virginia, up until I think 2014, not too long ago. Not heard good things on that. Here's the deal with these rides. I'm going through all these facts and junk. The thing with these rides, they're just unbelievably uncomfortable. You can have the smoothest track, you can have the best element, and that's the thing. If you look at Riddler's Revenge, it's huge, and it's green, and it's got these big yellow supports, and it looks fantastic and huge and awesome. And it's fine, but the fact that I'm standing up with a thing between my legs is just always gonna be, and that's the thing. Even if you get that little bicycle seat exactly where you want it, you're still going to have to distribute. It puts it on the rider to distribute the forces. Like you kind of have to have this symbiotic relationship with the track where you see, a turn coming up, so you're probably going to have to, whether you know it or not, you're probably subconsciously doing this, moving around, putting more weight on this foot or the other, or like maybe you're just kind of sitting on that little bicycle seat. Maybe it's comfortable for you. But you're always constantly aware that you're not you can't just be along for the ride, I think is the big deal with these things. Another thing about these rides, oh goodness. So in that same trip where I didn't get to ride X the first time, I think in 2001 or 2, I went to Six Flags Magic Mountain, and I was with my cousin Austin, and we went on Riddler's Revenge. Now, here's the thing. I don't know exactly how the operations work on this. I don't know if this is a regular occurrence, but from what I remember about these is every 2 or 3 cycles, this is just a guess, but every few cycles with the train, or maybe they're supposed to do it after everyone, but they're supposed to, reset the height of those bicycle seats. So they all the rides adjust. The shoulder restraint and the bicycle seat, I think, are like together. So they all go, you hear this big ka-chunk, and they all like go up to their highest position. I don't know, they like pull a lever or something, flip a switch, don't know how it works, but they all go ka-chunk, and they all reset to like their standard height, and you get to like adjust them, and then they lock into place before the train goes out. Occasionally, as was the case with my cousin and I, we were still on the ride once we got done when they reset. And so that bicycle seat goes wha-bam right up in our crotch. And we got just, racked. And we were coming off this ride. Yeah. It was not pleasant.
No.
It was not comfortable. So I don't remember how that ride was at all. I've heard good things. I've heard, like, as far as stand-up rides go, this is the best they get. I don't remember any of that.
You just remember getting racked.
I remember I remember the ride kicking me in the nuts. Literally.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's awful.
Those rides need to die hard. And they kind of are. As I said, there's no Togo stand-up rides, at least in the States.
Right.
And what's being done with these rides, a big one that I can think of is Cedar Point did have a stand-up ride. Oh, I have been on that one when it was a stand-up. Yeah, that one was okay. Yeah, I don't remember that. That one didn't kick me in the nuts, so... I have a little bit better opinion of that ride.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But a few years ago, this trend has now recently started to where those old B&M stand-up roller coasters are being converted into floorless roller coasters or sit-down trains. They're replacing the trains with ones where you sit down, and that has been a popular move.
Sure.
It's definitely breathed new life into these rides, and I like it. So I've been on Cedar Point, what used to be called Mantis, when it was a stand-up ride, and now I've ridden it when it was a sit-down floorless ride. And I'll definitely tell you I prefer the sit-down version. It's because I want to be along for the ride. I don't want to have to adjust. Because that's the thing, even if they don't kick in the nuts.
And that's surprising to me because in my head, I would assume that a standee roller coaster is designed differently than a city roller coaster. Like the way you do the stuff. So it's surprising to me that like transferring one to the other still works pretty well.
Look at you. Yes.
I listen.
Yeah.
Look at me. I listen.
You are, you're definitely thinking. That is more the case with stand-up rides, is the layout is a little bit more... The transition between elements and the elements themselves are a little bit bigger and smoother and a little more gradual.
Right.
They come at it...
Because they'd have to be, because even on a subway, if you're not paying attention, you fall over.
Yes, they try to maneuver the track in such a way that... if you are going to feel any G-force, it's positive G's that are going straight down. So you can compensate with your feet. You're not going to have a lot of lateral G-forces, which is like feeling positive G-forces from side to side.
Right.
That's more popular on. You'll get that on like wooden roller coasters and definitely Wild Mouse roller coasters. That's all they're about.
Wild mouse?
All right. A Wild Mouse roller coaster is probably more popular among like the traveling roller coasters are probably more built for this. You just went like, what?
I beg your pardon, traveling roller coaster?
Technically, if you Silver Bullet at Frontier City in Oklahoma City, the big one right out front, right next to the interstate, that is technically a traveling roller coaster. That is can be transported. So it's not like the footers are not like in the ground. It can be, and as you just went like,
beg your pardon.
That's not a thing. Anyway, a Wild Mouse roller coaster is basically a ride that will. It's all about. They don't bank at all. The track doesn't bank at all. It just does these really whippy turns to the side and just kind of goes. It'll go back and forth, whipping around these quick turns and just. Generally speaking, you'll go on a straight track, sloping down a bit, and then really fast turn. You go down another straight track, and that track just kind of slopes down. So it kind of just goes down, wagging back and forth, weaving back and forth in these really fast, no banking turns. Just and now there are variants on that. There's somewhere the car will spin whenever it hits that whippy turn. The car will keep spinning with you. So those are very spinny. They're not my favorite.
Sure.
But they're kind of fun. There's a cool one at my home park that's indoors. So that's kind of fun. Indoors. And it's like Batman themed. Not very well themed, but it's Six Flags.
There's just a bunch of bats in there. Not sure why.
It's just they're like after a few years like, I got an idea. Yeah, retheme this. Name it Batman Ride. Then we don't have to call pest control.
Yeah. We can say rabies is just a fun part of it.
It's
a 4-dimensional ride.
Exactly. No, it's all right. It's fine. Where were we? Yeah, we went off on a thing.
Because I just asked about mice.
About mice, yeah. Wild mouse rides.
Wild mouse rides, yeah.
And then you were like, transporting roller coasters.
Yeah.
Right now, I believe as we speak, in Europe, the world's largest traveling roller coaster is called Olympia Looping Coaster. And it's got like... it's got 5 loops that kind of form together to look... From certain angles, it looks like the Olympic rings.
Okay.
It's called Olympia, and so they're like different colored loops, supposed to be like the Olympic rings. It's a really cool looking ride, and it's been touring Europe for ever, long time.
Wow.
Usually it's in Germany. So there you go. There's some cool transporting roller coaster facts. That's a trend
that's fascinating.
I'd like to see. If we're talking about trends, make more.
We are talking about trends. That is specifically what you're talking about.
Make good transporting roller coasters. I'd like to see those. Here's a trend. Wait, sorry. Go ahead.
So where would a transporting roller coaster go?
Usually state fairs.
State fairs, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I don't know of any... There's not like a... Olympia Looping is the big popular one. I don't know of any like legendary traveling roller coasters.
Right.
In the United States. But if they could get on that and make
That's
some
cool. Yeah.
Cool ones, that'd be fun.
Okay, and what's this other trend you love?
Trends I'm loving right now. This is a current trend that's still going, and I love it. Multiple launching roller coasters. Boy, roller coasters have gotten really, really good at launches. If you look at the early launching roller coasters that use magnets...
For the uninitiated...
That's right.
Define launch.
All right. Usually a flat track that takes the train from 0 miles an hour to some miles an hour rather quickly. just like shoots you out. Sometimes a tunnel, but yeah, straight track that launches you. That used to be done with like counterweights and complicated machinery. Now it's done with complicated magnets and computers.
And so that's as compared to what?
A traditional chain lift.
Chain lift.
So
Okay.
yeah, these traditionally roller coasters, with very, very, very few exceptions, a roller coaster train is not powered. There's nothing within the car and the train itself that moves the train. It's all propelled by either a chain lift, which is then, potential energy converted into kinetic energy, all gravity based. That's where it gets its power.
Got it.
Launch coasters get their kinetic energy from electromagnets or catch cars and air pressure. There's a lot of different kinds of launch.
Different kinds. Okay. So what is a multiple launch?
Yeah, the popular launching methods right now are usually magnets, linear induction motors, and linear synchronous motors. Don't know the difference. I could not even begin to tell you that. I just know that those are the two things. LIMs, linear induction motors, came first, and LSM, or linear synchronous motors, seems to be what's used now. Now, the thing with multiple launching roller coasters is what goes on. This is very basic. I'm not going to go into the details on this because I don't know it. But you'll see on a multiple launching coaster, if you look on the track, you will see these generally these white fins sticking up out of the middle of the track. Like in the middle of the track, you got these white, like, I don't know how big they are. They're probably bigger than I'm thinking, but they're like fins. They're like flat little panels, and there's a bunch of them. And what those will do is the train will go over these and will have like some kind of metal thing on either side of that fin, and within that plate sticking out of the track, there's like electromagnetic energy that's like pulsating and like moving, pushing those, either pulling it in as it goes over the fin and then pushing it away as it goes past it. So just constantly back and forth to where it will eventually, get up to speed. What's cool about that design, the fact that there's no contact involved. So yeah, you don't actually have to have like a wheel or anything propelling it, pushing, physically touching the train. So it can go, it's just more convenient that way for a train to just fly over this and go into a launch. So the trend now is using that type of system on multiple locations on the track, or sometimes using the same stretch of launching track and going maybe back and forth a few times before it gets up to speed. A thing that's going on now, I'm thinking of a ride like Full Throttle at Six Flags Magic Mountain. It does this thing where you go into this tunnel, you launch and you do this one thing, but it goes into this tunnel and it stops. When it gets into this tunnel, those magnetic fins act as a brake also, so it stops it. And then as you stopped, you're looking through this tunnel. You're like, clearly we're going to launch out of this tunnel, but then it goes no, and it launches you backwards. And so it'll go whoop, and it'll go up this hill that you came in on, and it won't quite make it. And then it'll come forward again and use that momentum to launch it even faster. So they'll kind of go back and forth on these launches. And that's been this trend, and I love it, and I want more of them. My fiance's favorite roller coaster is Maverick at Cedar Point, which is a multiple launch roller coaster. And the second launch is like underneath the main lift launch, and it's like hidden so you can't see it during like when you're waiting in line or anything. So it really caught her off guard that we're going into like a launch tunnel, and she didn't even know it. So this ride had like, not only was it using a launch as a lift hill, so it looks like a traditional lift hill, just like at a gradual angle, but it's actually being launched over those magnetic fins. Not like super fast, but enough to whip you over the first drop pretty quickly, and it's fun. Usually,
that makes me tired to think about.
I know. And then it goes into another launch tunnel that you can't even see coming.
Wow.
So yeah, right now, I mean one of. Go back. Hagrid's Motorbike Adventure. I don't even remember. It's a huge name. Hagrid's Magical Motorbike Adventure is a new ride, new from last year. It's at Universal in Orlando, Islands of Adventure, part of the whole Harry Potter thing.
Yeah.
It's setting the bar for multiple launch roller coasters, because it's like, not only is it multiple launch, it's also incredibly well themed.
Sure.
And that's becoming a thing with these multiple launch rides is, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. What's cool and unique about these rides that I love, that is different about a traditional chain lift launch, is they can have elements that are close to the ground, which is cool because they're more likely to interact with the terrain.
Right.
And I like that. And we're definitely seeing that with Hagrid's. And now this year, we're going to get, it's called Pantheon, and it is at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And woo, this is laying down the gauntlet for the future of multiple launch roller coasters. Has got to look towards Pantheon now. It is huge. It is fast. It is ridiculous. It works with the terrain. It's got crazy outward banking elements that we just have never seen on a launch roller coaster before. You see them on RMC coasters, some. So now Intamin's get. Anyway, I'm getting way too nerdy here, but it's cool. It's
the podcast is called Clowns and Coasters. I don't know if there's much of a too nerdy. Like, I don't know where that line is, but
I know. I'm just trying not to use like terminology that would just make people glaze over. What are you talking about? Intamin. The manufacturer is called Intamin.
They also make donuts.
Sure. I'm doing that.
You're doing the thing. Yeah,
I'm doing the thing.
Definitely doing the thing.
Yes.
You're not gonna say no to me, but you're not
Intamin
gonna
donuts.
It's a different company also called Intamins that makes sweets. I know my snack cakes. Keep talking about roller coasters.
Intamin, not the donuts.
Yeah.
They're making some awesome multiple launch roller coasters. Not just Pantheon. They've had a slew of amazing, especially overseas. And if we want to talk about regional trends, overseas is kicking America's butt when it comes to theming roller coasters.
Right.
Universal and Disney, they get the good theming.
Right.
We'll see some good to decent to... So it varies, but generally you're not going to get the... Europe is just... Oh boy, they've got the theming on the roller coasters. If you look at... it's called Phantasialand in Germany. One of their multiple launch roller coasters... Terran? Yeah, I believe is the name. Looks like it's on a freaking Game of Thrones set. Like, it's going through this, like, crazy black rock that looks like looks like a dark medieval version of, like, the Fortress of Solitude. It looks crazy.
That's really cool.
I'm going to send you pictures.
Send me pictures.
It's really cool. And it stays low to the ground and goes in these crazy medieval looking dark rock work stuff. It looks amazing.
That's really cool.
So they're kicking our butts at theming, but not at multiple launch coasters because Pantheon's it's laying down the law. It's gonna be crazy. So that's a trend I would like to continue.
Yeah.
Woo!
Nice.
I love me some launch coasters. I've been on some good ones, but multiple launches that's a newer thing. I've only been on a couple of them. A couple of multiple ones. Maverick being one of them. And it's one of my favorites.
Nice. That's exciting.
It is, man.
Yeah, I could see that would give a lot of options that weren't available before. Like, that makes sense to me, that, like, by being able to stay, like, to propel forward without having to go take up space going up and then take up space going down, you can literally just go.
Yeah, what's great about these is now that they're becoming more ubiquitous, they're great for parks that have height limits.
Yeah.
There's definitely no, kitty, no, don't make me. Sorry. One of the best examples of this is Alton Towers in the United Kingdom. I haven't been there, but they have a height restriction. They're not allowed to go above the tree line because it's built on like an old castle estate. Really fascinating park. I really want to go here. So they have to be really, really creative with their roller coasters, which means like building them like into the ground, like digging trenches and stuff. Yeah. So they're taking advantage of the launch coasters, stay low to the ground. Also, SeaWorld in San Diego. Yep, they've got a multiple launch. They're taking advantage of that because they have a height restriction as well. Yeah, that could be another thing. Coasters in height restricted areas are some of the most creatively designed rides I've ever seen.
Well, you have the limitation. We talked about that when you and I do improv. You like the limitation of doing short form. You need rules.
Excelling within limitations.
Mm-hmm.
One really odd example, this is a launch coaster, is at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom in Vallejo, California, near San Francisco. They had a launch ride, and there's a fairly common model. We've got one here at my home park. It was an inverted ride, so the track's above you, and it launches you out of a tunnel, just, and then it'll go straight up and then do like a spiral. So the straight up track would be like a little spiral, come back down, and then it would launch you again out the opposite direction, and it'll go up a vertical spike and come back down. So it just kind of goes back and forth. One spirally spike and one straight up spike. These are fairly common, at least for the time. But so what they had to do, they built this ride in that way, like the same model that they have. There's quite a few of these. There's a handful of these. But they all look fairly similar, and they have two vertical spikes. They might be spiraling, they might be straight up. But this one, because they had a height limit, a city-wide, I think it's 150 feet, something like that. They pretty much couldn't build that ride the way it was. So what they had to do was they had to change the angle of that spike and make that, it's real bizarre looking. So it goes up not a vertical spirally spike, but I don't know if it's 45 degrees angle, an angled hill that goes straight up, and the track also spirals, and then it goes straight again, but also, on the spike. So they had to just basically elongate the area in which the ride loses its energy to come backwards, because they couldn't just cut it. They couldn't just cut it down a few feet because it would have launched off the track.
Right.
So they didn't want to adjust all that, I guess. So they made the they just made it longer. They just gave it more room to lose its forward momentum. Real bizarre looking, especially if you've seen the other models. Yeah. But that's cool. I like that it looks weird and it looks different, especially compared to similar models.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
We're at an hour 10-ish.
We are.
So
yeah, those are my crazy trends.
They're nice. They're good trends.
One
good trend, one bad trend.
Yeah. That has died hard, I will say. There's no more stand-up coasters being built, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more multiple launches. All right.
Week's work.
What you gonna do?
Honestly, my week's work is just learn to be more consistent. I have to build a habit of consistent practice.
Boy, who you talking to, man?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, because like literally, well, first of all, I watched 2 videos. One, I watched that combat juggling video, which made me want to do club juggling. So I
gotta do that.
I'm gonna. But please. So I club juggled yesterday, and that went really well. But then I went out to club juggle today, and I couldn't do it. Like, I got back to it, but like the first few times, I was like, I couldn't remember how to toss. I was like, I've got to be consistent if I'm gonna improve or even maintain any level of success.
Yeah,
so,
muscle memory takes time, but
muscle memory takes time, especially with those clubs. But another video I had watched it was also clubs. They were doing like a little contest, and it was just like 100 people, and they were like, we're gonna see who can club juggle the longest. And so it was like a fun little like thing, and it was like people would just get knocked out. But the person who won, it was just 3 clubs. There was a bunch of people doing 3 clubs, and the person who won juggled for 4 hours, which was a world record. Which they did not expect to break a world record right then, but like that's just what happened.
I am hurting.
Yeah,
just
by the end, the guy was just shaking.
Hours. Yeah, he doesn't use his arms for a month.
Right.
That, right. I mean,
and then I tried to juggle bean bags. I was like, let's see how long I can go. I made it a minute. So I was like, I've got to be consistently practicing all the time if I'm going to get better. Like I'm okay right now, but if I want to get better, I have to practice. So that's my goal this week is just to build the habit of practicing
and build up that muscle, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. So
wow, 4 hours.
4 hours, right?
That is. I was gonna say commitment, but no, that's commitment.
That's just commitment. Yeah, it was wild.
Crazy.
And it got down to 2 people that did it for 4 hours, and then one person just made it a few seconds longer. But
that's gotta suck for the other guy.
Oh, absolutely. To go that long,
like a couple seconds. So it was like the other person gave up, and then the other was like, "I'll get 2 more hits."
They just accidentally dropped, and then the other guy had to kept going a little bit longer, and then was like, "All right, I got it."
Oh,
so
yeah. After. I mean, if it were me and I see the other guy drop out, I'm doing one more toss.
One more toss. I'm gonna get my win and I get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. 4 hours.
What about you? What's your work?
I'm going to Oklahoma.
Woo!
That's what I'm doing. Friday.
Yeah. A little behind the scenes is we're recording this early because when we would usually record, right. Kyle will be 1 traveling or 2 just in Oklahoma busy. So we're recording this early so we can post it. By the time we post this, Kyle will be hanging out with me.
Yeah, we'll be able to record this live.
Yeah.
Record this, in the same room. That would be great. And so I wrote fingers crossed on this because on the way back, because we are driving from Chicago to Oklahoma City, and on the way back is Six Flags St. Louis right off the interstate. And I have driven by this. I'm embarrassed to say this as a inspiring and just an enthusiast. I'm an enthusiast. I have driven by this park a dozen times at least. And I've never been there. And I'm a little ashamed of that. So
fix it.
I'm gonna fix that. If it's not closed
for Corona. Oh.
There was a big. I'm so scared. But like, Six Flags just put out a thing. They're American parks, at least at the moment, seem to be just loading up on hand washing stations.
Sure.
That seems to be their fix. But
How
if
long
the Asian
will that last?
parks are, like the Asian parks closed for like at least 2 weeks. So I can't see why that wouldn't happen, other than the fact that we have fewer cases
Sure.
that we know of.
Well, yeah.
At least at this point. Who knows? So as of right now, those are the plans. But I mean, at this point, we're trying to go to a Thunder game Friday night.
That might
It's
not
not even
happen.
a guarantee that'll happen.
There'll be no
It's the NCAA
audiences
tournament, just
at basketball games and no theme parks.
That is dystopian. That sounds
Yeah.
so creepy.
I
to
just-
have March Madness.
I just saw a thing. The one of the international clown associations was supposed to have an event, and they just canceled
the ICA?
it. Yeah, they just canceled.
Really?
Yeah, and they were like, and then they like right after that they posted a tweet where they were like, here are some options if you're doing a big show to try and like clean your stuff. Only blow up balloons with don't blow up balloons by mouth. They were like, I was like, it's wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
If they're like, if
Yeah.
you're doing any hospital clowning, listen to the hospital and see
Oh
if they
my
want you to do anything
gosh.
specific. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, the hospital clowning's gonna be crazy. Oh, well,
Well,
and you know me, I am trying really hard. I don't get alarmist. I try to follow the facts and the science. And
Yeah.
Really, I follow good scientific people who care about their data. And once they start getting concerned, that's
Yeah.
when I go, what? What?
yeah.
And they are.
And they're
that's what's-
concerned.
It's bumming me out.
Yeah.
So,
Well, on that
wash your
note,
hands. On that note, wash your damn hands, everybody.
yup.
A lot.
Yup.
And, be a clown. Ride roller coasters while you can. That's what I'm going to try to do.
Same.
That's my week's work.
Well.
Get on coasters before you can't.
Before you can't
Because of
anymore.
the-
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Love y'all. We will see you live. We'll be together in
We'll
the
be
same
together,
room.
recording live together. That'll be nice.
Yep. Gonna make you laugh and make you feel alive. See you next week.
We just had a really, really good time. Talked about things that make us smile and make us feel sublime. Juggling balls and silly shoes, barrel rolls and loop-de-loops. We just talked about clowns and coasters.